Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing great out there. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel, subscribing, liking the videos, all that stuff, leaving comments, supporting it through Amazon Associates. I really do appreciate it, and all that support we get helps grow the channel. So if you can, take the time to subscribe, hit the button down there. I know a lot of YouTubers, we always talk about that stuff. And yes, those metrics, they are important. So, definitely it helps. So I do appreciate y'all to do that. So in this video, we're going to get into expanding the 32 ACP case. And we're also going to be doing our priming as well. Or I might break that up into a separate video, depending on how long this one goes. But I'm using the Lyman dies, as I mentioned in the previous video. I'm used to using the Lee dies. The Lee dies are my overall favorite pistol dies. They always have the best illustrated instructions, and they're always at a decent price point, and they just work. Can't really think of any problems I've really had with Lee pistol dies over the years. And I can't remember the reason why I got the Lyman set, but maybe it was because it had different seating stems that came with it for bullet seating, or maybe it was availability. It was a couple years ago. Unfortunately, these dies have been sitting on my shelf for probably like 3 years with just all the stuff that's been going on. So, but a little bit of a different deal in terms of setting them up. Like, for instance, the expanding die right here. This is a deal where, compared to the Lee die, you actually run your ram all the way up. You screw the die here all the way down to where it makes contact with the shell holder, and then you use the stem up here to actually adjust how much you're going to expand the case mouth. So a little bit of a different thing. I think the Lee, as I recall, you basically move the die up or down to adjust for expanding, if I got that right. But anyways, a little bit different, here and there, but the Lyman dies, they seem to be working okay for right now. So, no problem. I'm always open to using, all sorts of manufacturers and stuff. So I don't really get too obsessed on, one manufacturer or another. I've got all sorts of equipment from everybody pretty much. So with our cases, pretty much the thing I've been kind of aiming for, we'll go ahead and run one up in there, is, of course, we want to get the case mouth expanded as such. Let's see if that'll focus there. We want to get it expanded enough that it's going to easily accept the bullet without any sort of issues. Let's see. How's that look? It's kind of a little bit difficult there. But anyways, we want to basically expand it enough that it's going to easily accept the bullet. And the one issue we have too is that we are running plated bullets. Now, I would say, in my opinion, I have the case mouth expanded, pretty decently. I did play around with kind of reducing the amount of expansion I was doing to that case mouth. But the one thing is, the main bullet that we're going to be loading is these Berry plated bullets. And I think the plating on these, it's not like some of those Spear TMJ bullets. I think it's a little bit kind of light in terms of the plating, and I don't want to run into issues whenever I actually go to seat it of having it kind of scrape on a lot of that plating and cause me any sorts of issues with that. So, it's kind of one of those things where you have to kind of like play around with it and see what you think is going to kind of work for you. The other thing too with this was I wanted it to be able to accept all three of the bullets that I might potentially be using here on this project, depending on time, because we do have these Remington bullets here as well. Those seem to sit down in there just fine with no problems at all on these Remington ones. Now, the Remington bullets, as I mentioned in the first video, I've not seen them up for sale individually, but I know Remington, now that it's under its new ownership, it must be making these bullets again, because they are making Remington 32 ACP 71 grain full metal jacket ammo. So they must be, you know, at least they're making the bullets for themselves. If they're going to release them to reloaders at some point, we'll see. That remains to be seen. Then we have these Hornady 85 grain XTP bullets. And I think the reason why these are out on the market right now is because of the whole 30 super carry fad that's going on. Whether that cartridge will last or not remains to be seen. So that seats down in there, no problem at all. And then back again to our Berry's bullet here. Seems to seat down in there okay. So like I said, we just don't want to run into any issues when we're seating the bullets where we're going to be kind of scraping on any plating or anything like that. As I said, I did play around with kind of reducing it, because you don't want to overexpand those case mounts and run the risk of like cracking the necks and stuff. But then also too, you want the bullet to basically sit down in there, in my opinion, to where it's not at a wonky angle or anything like that. So kind of a little bit of a tricky thing to do. You know, it's a thing where, hey, if I screw it up the first time too much, well, I guess, you know, it's on me, and then, you know, I'll have to come back and, you know, next time around, you know, kind of reduce the amount of expanding I'm doing. So that is the thing with a lot of these projects. When you are wading into them and you've never done them before, and maybe a couple other people have or whatever, you're going to learn along the way, and you're going to find things that work or don't work. And that's just what reloading is. And you know, if you guys are out there and you're just starting out with reloading, you know, it's a thing of where, you know, you're going to go through the same process. You know, even if you've got 10, 20, 30 years in, you're still going to be learning new stuff all the time. You know, for the average person, you know, because probably most of us were out there buying more guns, and you know, we're always getting new cartridges into our systems, and you know, all that. So, but anyways, yep, so everything is looking pretty good on this. So hopefully that works out fine, no problems. And so we'll go ahead and we'll just start cranking these babies out, and just one after another. When I don't have the camera here, it's a lot easier to basically do this, and I can crank them out a lot faster. So I found from previous experience, like with expanding, if I get everything set up with a jar right next to me and right below the press and everything on a single stage, if I go fast, I can like expand about 600 in an hour. So I think I have 700 cases here. So probably it would take me just over an hour to get all of these done. So any questions or comments about expanding, leave that below. Once I get all these expanded, we're going to move on with the second part of the video, and we're going to deal with some primers and see how seating the primers goes on this and how that all works out, and we'll talk about that in the next part. Hey folks, so here we are, we're priming our 32 ACP brass now with cellular and below primers, and also we're using our RCBS bench priming tool. I did a review on this about a year ago. You can check it out on my channel, but I've been very happy with it in terms of the function, the simplicity of it, and it just works. One thing I did find with this was I did initially use my Lyman shell holder, and it didn't seem to like that as much. So I dug out a RCBS number 17 shell holder, and everything so far has been going nice and sweet. So all good there. Also too, these S&B primers, they are kind of a little more of a kind of tighter fit than CCI, I find. And we've talked about that in plenty of other videos. But you know, so there's a little more of a squeeze getting it in there, but goes in there, you know, at the end of the day, okay. So everything is overall going good. Just gonna basically get all of these primed, and you know, and get them all going. So I think in total we have about 700 pieces all together. So it is going to take a little while. But once I kind of get in a rhythm off the camera, then, you know, actually it flies along pretty good, and you can bang out a number of them pretty fast. So I'm already kind of getting in the rhythm now. When you're trying to talk and do do something also at the same time, sometimes it slows you down a little bit. But no big issues other than that. I can see priming 32 ACP brass, so I don't think it's really going to present much of a challenge to you, you know, compared to other pistol cases. You know, I've heard a lot of folks talk about the, you know, they are kind of smaller cases and a little more fiddle-farty to kind of deal with. But you know, doesn't really seem much different than like if I'm priming 9mm. It's just the cases are a little bit smaller, so no big problems with that. So coming up next, what we will be doing is, once we get everything, whoop, little hiccup there. Once we get everything all primed and all the cases expanded, all the cases primed, we're going to move on to getting our bullet seeder set up. And once we get our bullet seeder set up, we will also pick out which powder we're using, because one thing I did was I picked up Accurate number 2 as well. Managed to get a canister of that. So I think we probably will start with tight group though. And then we will go ahead, looks like we're all out of primers. And then we'll go ahead and start loading up some. And also we got a crimp as well with the Redding crimp tool, so, or the Redding crimp die. So yeah, everything's just kind of flowing along. We'll see when the next video comes out, because I got to basically finish expanding all the brass that I have and also priming it as well. And once I get that all complete, then we will move on to the next step and start banging out some loads. So I'm looking forward to it. Other videos coming up soon. We've got 9mm happening, which is basically I'm doing that at the same time, so it should be another video out on that soon. We have one 300 blackout case prep video that's coming up, and then we'll be starting on a new 300 blackout project as well. So we have some other product reviews and other stuff coming up as, in addition to that. So stay tuned, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I do appreciate that, and we'll see you next time.